Hey everyone, welcome back to Music with Ryan. For this week's free lesson, we're going to take a look at a rhythm exercise in the key of G. And we are going to use chord inversions and ornamentations to kind of spice things up and hopefully give you a lot of ideas to draw from for those of you that enjoy creating chord progressions or writing songs. And for those of you looking for ideas or moves, quote unquote moves, to kind of go from chords to chords, that's what we're going to try to get at today, something in G. And I've got everything tabbed out, so if you'd like to download the tabs, they're right here. I know they're blurry in the sunlight, but if you want to download the tabs, you need to be a free member at the site, and this lesson will be in the free member area. Rhythm exercise in G using chord inversions will be the title, and you'll be able to download that right on the site, but you got to have an account at the site to do so. So I'm going to play through this. It has two parts, all right? Kind of an A and a B part, or chorus and verse, however you want to think about it. Just an original composition, a simple, relatively simple chord progression, but we're going to kind of search for some nice sounding things, some like bigger, quote unquote, bigger sounding chords, and has a little bit of that bluegrass stuff, but more kind of a general acoustic and folk atmosphere going on, maybe kind of Alison Krauss-ish and Union Station Band-ish, but so let me play it for you, and then we'll break it on down. I'm going to play it through twice. We're not going to go too fast. All right. 1, 2, 3. Beginning. Repeat that section. Yeah, something nice, right? Kind of really swell up with our rhythm playing. You know, do a little cross picking here and there, some hammer-ons. A lot of the rhythm stuff I'm doing is everything's really tied together, so there's not much space. You know, I'm not cutting off the chords or the sound. I'm letting the notes kind of ring into a lot of the, you know, the next chord and so forth. And we're going to talk about, there's a few different ways, a couple different strumming patterns that I'm using. So kind of, you know, very intricate or nuanced stuff, but as you heard, it can sound really nice, right? Pretty is kind of the word that I keep coming up with. So let's go ahead and dive into it, and I'm going to try to break this down as best I can. I'm not going to be super methodical as I usually am with some of my teaching, and it's hard to not teach slow, but I'm going to try to kind of go through this, not too slow, but again, print out the tabs at the site and download them, print them out, put on your stand out here. And so let's dive in. The first, okay, so that first bit, we kind of have an alternate bass strumming pattern going on, or feel going on, for these first few measures here. So that first measure, again, you just, low note, strum, D, string, strum, then low note again, and then a 0-2 hammer on the A string, and a strum. Okay? And then we go to D chord, and we start with the open D note, and then an open G note. And as you see, the strum pattern changes a little bit there. Down, 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 up. Okay? And the pick directions are marked below there everywhere, so pay very close attention to that as it will help. Down, 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 up, down. That open G. So that first 3 measures, 2, ready, go. Okay. And then the next bit, measure 4, there's a D slash F sharp, okay? And some of you might kind of know that as this chord, but I'm going to do it in a little bit different octave. So 4th fret on the D, I'm still fingering the D chord here, but then this is the F sharp note, okay? So, and I might use my pinky as well. You can use your pinky or your 3rd finger here. Pinky might be best. Okay. And then the strum pattern here that I want to talk about in measure 4 is what we're going to see a lot of the time. And there's also some underlying currents that I want to talk about a little bit as well. But that pattern is down, down, up, down, up. Okay, I'm going to play the whole D here. Down, down, up, down, up. So you see there's a tie, okay? If you look there, look below, it's down, down, tied over, I'm looking at my tabs, and then an upstroke, right? So that tie creates a little bit of syncopation, sort of, and that's kind of the feel. So you can just sit around and get used to that. That's a very common strumming pattern, by the way. Down, down, up, down, up. Now the one thing that I really want you to think about and pay attention to is that the right hand doesn't stop moving, and in some cases I might even be adding a couple extra strums during that tie in there. Okay, that's, but you might not quite hear it. The feel is certainly this exact strumming pattern, okay? But you want to make sure, if nothing else, make sure that your right hand down, down. See how it's going up and down no matter what? But it depends on when I'm hitting the strings. And this would be me just going back and forth, but then I do what's written. Okay, so I'm having that right hand under control, fluid, and that's what's really going to make things sound nice and clear and clean, okay? And that's why, well, that's why we're talking about it. And I might even, like I was saying, a little bit more advanced thing, I might add some strums in there. You know, you might kind of hit it. You might kind of act, you know, like when you're strumming back and forth, and that's okay because you're still keeping the pulse and your timing going. But I'm not really, those strums aren't like being heard. They're all like, they're almost like ghosted notes. They're almost just faint in the background. Sometimes I'm getting just a little bit of the strings on what's supposed to be held over. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. But just follow that. That pattern's very common as written, and that's the feel that I'm going for. So, moving forward. All right, so that sounds really nice, going from the C to the G, connecting that. And so I play the C bass note, and then I strum, then 0-2 hammer on the D, then a strum, then an open G, strum. It's almost an alternate bass-ish feel there for sure. And then a 0-2 hammer on the D, then an open D, then I'm going to go to a G chord, measure 7. And that D string is going to ring in to the G chord. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and there's a nice little cross picking thing, using a little bit of a sus chord there as well. So just to recap, the D slash F sharp was our first chord that we use an inversion for, and it is in this case first inversion, by the way. So measure 8 here. This says G sus4 to a G slash B. Some cool stuff in there. So right there I'm going 2-3 hammer on the A, and then open D, open G. So this C note kind of makes it a sus4. A lot of times you hear it here. There, right down there in the first fret of B, it's a sus4. I'm putting it in the lower register. You might see it written as a different chord sometimes depending on how people, but it's giving it that sus4 sound. Then I'm cross picking the open D and G, so it really sounds kind of thick. And then the next bit, I play a quarter note on the second fret on the A, so now I'm kind of have a G slash B. Okay, G chord with the B in the bass, and then I open D and open G to keep that ringing. You know, and the fingering doesn't matter too much. You can see how that all connects and just, you know, like it almost swells up, right? That's what we want. We want it all to sound silky smooth together, okay? And that takes time. That takes a lot of time. So let me play that first part for you, and then we'll get into the second part here. So from the beginning, and let's take the repeat. As you've seen, it's repeated there. There's a double dot, double bar line from measure 8 back to the beginning of the piece. So, you don't have to take it too fast. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sounds really pretty to my ear, and you don't have to play it fast. I encourage you to try to see how sweet and beautiful you can make the guitar sound, and make sure the notes are clear and everything's connected. Don't worry about playing fast, all right? That's not the point of this rhythm exercise, okay? All right, so we go on to the next part, and it starts on an A minor 7, okay? So we're gonna, it's just a 2-finger chord. It's like A minor but without the 3rd finger. That's the 7, the G note. And this is kind of Alison Krauss and Union Station Band-ish, if you will. Okay. Or maybe Brandi Carlile, if you ever listen to Brandi Carlile. She does a lot of this sort of thing. A lot of artists do this sort of thing. But, so that, again, so we're going to do that strumming pattern that I talked about in depth. We're going to, and it's just kind of really bringing that bass forward here. There's nothing too crazy going on ornamentation-wise. Down the line just a little bit, but really it's making that bass movement come forward. You know, we're going to the 2 chord, the A minor 7, so down, down, up, down. And then 2nd fret A, same strumming pattern. And I know you're like, do I really play all those strings open? Yes, you do. Yes, you can. I probably, I wouldn't let that open D come forward too much, but it still kind of works in there. Again, that's the A minor 7 slash B. This chord could also be seen as C slash B. There might even be another name for it too, but I have it written again. I have A minor 7, but I have a B note in the bass. And then it goes to a C chord with that strumming pattern. 0-2 hammer on the D, strum, open G, and then a little walk here, 2-3 hammer on the A, 4 and 1. That'll end on the open A string on measure 13. And then it's going to just kind of repeat that for the next couple bars. And then we're going to go to a D chord here, measure 14, 15. So open D and do that strumming pattern that we've been working on. Now we got some cool little stuff going on here. Again, if you have questions or comments, leave them on the lesson page or the YouTube video, and I will do my best to respond to them, okay? Leave your questions or comments below. All right, so measure 16 right now, 3rd fret on the A string, and I'm gonna leave the high E open. That makes it a 9, it makes it a D9, and then I'm gonna put the C note in the bass, D9/C, okay? Then D9/B. This could also maybe be seen as G/B, okay, very closely related. You know, a lot of these chords have similar notes involved, and it just kind of depends on how someone's voicing them and how someone chooses to write them out. But see how they have a big sound? It's really open, right? That D9 could also be seen sometimes as a sus2 chord as well. Okay, the E note of D is the 2. And then the last chord of the piece, open A over top of a D7. So as you hear that the bass walk. That sounds great. That adds so much energy to our playing. So we, in the B part, we walk it up, right? Then the next time, we start at a D chord, D note, and walk it down. The listener's ear and everything about it is telling me to go back home, right? Resolve back on the... Whoops. Okay. So again, paying very close attention to the right hand. How nice can I make it sound? Getting that strumming pattern very fluent, and then trying to let go of it at the same time. Knowing that you're doing it, and then still staying in that groove. I mean, we're talking about intricate, a little bit more advanced things, but we want to start to think about that if you're not already doing so, you know. Don't be afraid to think about that stuff. Watch. You know, I did a little cross picking instead of strumming there. How nice does that sound, right? So there's ideas hopefully you can draw from. Bassline kind of walked down just a major scale a little bit. So cool. I hope it gives you some cool things to work on, to focus on. You know, again, just an exercise. It's hopefully give you just a few ideas, a few little tricks, some nuances for acoustic guitar playing. Give it a try. Again, you can download the tabs, become a member at the site. Any questions, let me know. And that's about it. All right, guys and gals, take care.